Hey everybody, Star 6 Wars 1 here, and welcome to the 6th movie of FMA month. For this one, we are taking a look at the next comparison video of the movies. Sacred Star Milos versus Conqueror of Shambhala. Now, I should make it no surprise that I almost view these two movies on equal grounds. I think both movies are pretty good in their own right, but I do think one film does another one better. So we're here today to judge which one I think is better. Now, I'll be honest here and say, when it comes to this one, I think it's a touchy subject, especially since Conqueror of Shambhala really is a love it or hate it film, and Sacred Star of Milos is not much better. It's you either like it or despise it. And we're going to get into where I fall into each category. The categories will be story, FMA characters, unique characters, animation, music, the ending, and then the ultimate winner. So without further ado, let's go to the story. Now, this is going to be a difficult one to choose because I actually don't mind the story of either of them. Sacred Star Milos has the story of Julie, I think her name was. Sorry, I've kind of already forgotten the unique character's main name. That's a bit of a problem. I don't ever remember her brother's name because honestly, he's a difficult and walking spoiler, so I can't really get into him very much. And their journey for the Sacred Star of Milos, which turns out to be just another Philosopher's Stone. Go figure. So yeah, there's that. And then we have the story of Conqueror of Shambhala, which is supposed to be an epilogue to the 2003 series. And it does tie up some ends rather nicely, specifically the homunculi. The ultimate problem with the story, and I'll be getting into this a little more later, is its ending. Again, though, we'll get into it later, because that's a subject entirely of its own. But overall, as much as Sacred Star Milos isn't the most unique story, and really as continuity with Brotherhood is questionable at best, for story, I have to give it to Sacred Star Milos because, and I'm going to point this out, it doesn't have a shitty ending. Okay, it's not the greatest ending, but it's not got one that completely shoots itself in the foot and betrays the entire film. So, point to Sacred Star Milos. Next up is the FMA characters. Now, there is a reason why I've done this split. FMA characters means characters we are more familiar with in the FMA franchise, like Ed, Al, Winry, Roy, Risa. And in this category, we're going to talk about the two. Sacred Star Milos has Ed and Al, but to me, they feel like backseat characters. And because they are the main focus of Full Metal Alchemist, that's really a bad thing. Nothing against the two, but in Sacred Star Milos, they feel like a backseat character. And the other ones just feel like plot conveniences, like Roy feels like a plot convenience, Winry is a plot convenience, Risa barely has any screen time at all, Alex was a waste of time, and any other characters that appear that are familiar with the FMA universe are wasted. Conqueror of Shambhala, on the other hand, still keeps the focus toward Ed and Al, where, in my opinion, it should be. And it doesn't just have Roy as a plot point. He has a character, he has a struggle he's going through, and he has to overcome it. Okay, the struggle could have been developed more, but at least we knew it was there. And Winry, also, that's kind of the big thing with this. I think character-wise, Conqueror of Shambhala, at least in the FMA department, does better. Because they still feel like the FMA characters we're all familiar with, and do not all, I repeat, all feel like plot conveniences. Point to Conqueror of Shambhala. Next up, the unique characters. A lot of the unique characters that are introduced in Conqueror of Shambhala are the Maze Hughes duplicate, the Rose duplicate, the Führer duplicate, the that villain is kind of like Dante character. Oh, there's Lyra character. Sadly, the unique characters, and I really stretch this, are few and far between, and even then, that's pushing it. Also, I think a lot of people did not like making Hughes a Nazi. Though, if I'm not gonna lie, that actually makes kind of a weird kind of sense, since he was a soldier for a mistress, and I have to sometimes wonder if parts of them were developed from the Nazi ideals. But I'm not touching that subject anymore. Let's move on to the unique characters of Sacred Star of Milos. We have Julie, or sorry, I can't remember her name. She's trying to make Milos a free place again and not have it be there. We have these interesting people, in my opinion, and we have the villain of the story. Oh, I'm not going to spoil, but he has an interesting backstory and is ruthless. Good job on that. And for those reasons, I think in terms of the unique to the movies category, Sacred Star of Milos did this better, because they're not carbon cut and paste copies of other FMA characters. And I remember, I said unique. I did not say better. I do think Conqueror of Shambhala did ultimately do the characters better, but I think in terms of uniqueness, I think Sacred Star of Milos did it better. Next up, the animation. Conqueror of Shambhala, no contest. Seriously, Sacred Star of Milos' animation, what the hell was Bones thinking? I've already ranted about this on my review, but I have to go into greater detail. You guys had perfect animation in the 2003, okay, a little rough, but still, and you had perfect animation in Brotherhood with a few little hitches around the way. And you know what? Conqueror of Shambhala has a kind of mix between the two. What the bleep were you thinking with Sacred Star of Milos? That was the stupidest thing you could have done. Point to Conqueror of Shambhala before I get annoyed anymore. The music. Okay, I'm just gonna compare the fact that I still listen to the end credits song of Conqueror of Shambhala, and I still have yet to fully listen to it in Sacred Star of Milos. And that goes about the same with the soundtrack. I'd listen to Requiem any day over any of the Sacred Star of Milos soundtrack. No offense to it, it's one of those that I think it helps the show around, but is ultimately not necessary for an actual listening to, and I like to sometimes listen to my music afterwards. The end credits theme Lost Heaven, in particular for Conqueror of Shambhala, is personally a nice little touch for me, and actually did better describe the ending of the film than the actual ending. Oops. Good job, Conqueror of Shambhala. You actually did pretty good with the music, but now we get into the major problem that Conqueror of Shambhala ever had, the ending. The ending of Sacred Star Mills, without giving anything away, is kind of confusing, and I still wonder about its continuity in Brotherhood, if it has any. But the ending was, okay, rushed a little bit, and kind of long, but I will say that at least it was a complete ending and didn't need a sequel to complete it. Conqueror of Shambhala does not have that. Conqueror of Shambhala does not only feel empty and hollow, it's rushed. It betrays the entire film. And it almost screams, let's make a sequel that will never come. This is my ultimate sore point with the Fullmetal Alchemist franchise. The ending of Conqueror of Shambhala, because it betrays everything that the original stood for. And what might I add, that's kind of another point. Conqueror of Shambhala is kind of a useless film in some ways, because the end of the original series was pretty good without it. True, there were some plot points that could have been resolved more, but I don't think you need a feature-length film for it. You could have just had some OVA specials, and bam, you would have had the same thing, except maybe better. Ultimate opinion, Sacred Star Milos wins in the ending department. This now becomes a problem with the winner, though. It's a tie. I think Sacred Star Milos has a better story, unique characters, and ending, but I think Conqueror Shambhala does its FMA characters, animation, and music better. So who's the ultimate winner? This comes down to a personal preference thing, and I gotta admit something right now. When I watched Sacred Star Milos, it did not feel like an FMA film. It felt like the FMA was just in the background and just a gimmick. And that was my ultimate problem with Sacred Star Milos. It didn't feel like a Fullmetal Alchemist movie, and I think it was supposed to. It just felt like an anime film. If it had not been Fullmetal Alchemist Sacred Star of Milos, I think it would have been better. But the problem is, it is Fullmetal Alchemist, and it does have these problems, even if it didn't do the characters that badly. But that's the ultimate problem, and that's why the winner is Conqueror of Shambhala. Because despite its admittedly horrible ending that almost ruins everything for it, Conqueror of Shambhala still, to me, felt like a Fullmetal Alchemist film. And since it's a movie comparison of Fullmetal Alchemist movies, that's why Conqueror of Shambhala wins. Alright, that's all from me. This has been Star 6 Wars 1. And next time we're going to be getting into yet another thing that's probably more controversial. Which ending is better and why? See you guys then.